up, man? We are back in black in the building. Shout out to everybody out there at the Core Plantation doing what they need to do to survive. Did Jesus come back? Oh, damn. He didn't? Okay, we'll try next week. Shout out to everybody out there teaching Sunday school and singing in the choir. Hey, man, I used to sing in the choir. Shit. That's why y'all hear me joking. So shout out to everybody out there doing what they need to do. Man, we are going to have to really wake up. But anyway, roll call. Shout out to everybody in Arizona. Tanya, shout out to all my siblings, everybody in Vegas. Starting to cool down now, so shout out to all my siblings and everybody out there in Vegas. Let me tell you something, man. We gonna get to it. Shout out to my sister, Shawnee, Philly in the building. Man, Shawnee, Erica. Man, how long has it been? Man, we've been doing this cast for a minute, huh? I feel like y'all all a part of it. Tasha, everybody. Mariah, whoever listen, I feel like it's a small group. Y'all notice I don't even be saying hit the like button, none of that, because this is about information. So shout out to Shawnee, Philly in the building. Shout out to Erica, Florida, aka Florida in the building. Stand up. Shout out to my brothers, James Youngblood, Texas in the building. Mic Drop, go support Mic Drop on social media platforms. The Mic Drop. I'm telling you, he be dropping jewels. Shout out to my brother Dave for No Compromise. Joja's definitely in the building. And shout out to the homegirl Jarek as well. And shout out to the homegirl Melina all the way from North Carolina, aka North Kakalaka. Shout out to her. Man, we about to get into it. The bad image. We about to talk about it today. Oh, we gonna talk about it. Let's get it. Oh yeah. Don't have me get to sing. I got a song for y'all. If I see another movie with a negative image, FFPA, I'ma be so pissed. And I'm gonna watch that bullshit. Don't be making my people look so ignorant. Why don't you do it with the other racial groups? You stupid. Man. I know. We gonna get it, because I'm gonna get so sick of all the negative bullshit that's going on. So we gonna get into it. I just thought I wanted to drop a few jewels. You know, I do a little bit of singing, you feel me? Yeah. All right, let's get it. Man, let me tell you something. Let's start off like this. I'm gonna start off with love. We're gonna start off with love. There were two black movies that came out. I supported them both. I went to go see 1992 with Tyrese and Ray Liotta. Shout out to Ray Liotta. That motherfucker could act his ass off. He had me rolling. Shout out to Tyrese too. He did an amazing job. It's very important that we go see these movies just to see the imagery behind it, but it's a very interesting movie. So we're going to talk about it. I'm not going to get into details because I'm going to spoil it for you. I want you guys to go check it out. But the only gripe that I have with 1992 is you didn't have to use the riot theme. You could have did something else. You could have just said in 1992 and used a whole other thing. But I get it. I understand. What my biggest gripe was, they didn't have enough FBA in there. Tyrese did a phenomenal job, but the FBA characters that they had in there were just horrible. They couldn't act. Let me tell you why. Because there's a synergy about the United States of America Incorporated, especially cities where we have been wronged in a very big way, and that energy circulates through other FBA people, and we can feel it. And when you're not from this homeland, it's hard for you to even tap into that energy. That's why that movie, that show, on Hulu that was based on Freeway Ricky Ross's life. It was horrible at the end. And then it started out to make, and then the character who played Rick Ross, he had more of a country accent and not, he didn't, you know, we from LA. You know, if you ever heard real LA people, we don't say ka, we say core, porty. Like that's how we say it. Oh, you ain't got no core. You know what I'm saying? Like we just speak differently, and that's what I didn't like about that that character that was portraying Freeway Ricky Ross. John Singleton, I love that brother, but I just did not appreciate that. And I don't appreciate non-FBA playing us. Go to England and play y'all characters. Stop coming over here and playing us. You do a horrible job at it. So I wasn't feeling that. You gotta love Ray Liotta's character. He did a phenomenal, to me, he did a good job. I think Clint Eastwood's son was in it too. It was a decent movie. It just, they should have had FBA characters in there. That's all. FBA characters, if they would have had FBA actors in there, I think it would have done a little bit better. But it was okay. You know, I get the message, but some of it I didn't like. You know, if you just need to go see it. But I'm gonna tell you, there were certain parts in there where you was like, they're overly emphasizing the wrong racial narrative. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, in 1992, yeah, it was a lot of white people in LA and stuff like that. But during that time, it was a big racial movement time in the 90s. And I just feel like the way they put the characters and stuff, it just did, a lot of it didn't make sense. You know, I liked Ray Liotta's character because he was the typical Mickey Donovan. If you've never seen Ray Donovan, go watch Ray Donovan. He was Frank Gallagher. He was the typical, I don't really give a fuck about my kids. I really care about myself, but I'm gonna pretend like I love my kids type shit. So that was good. Again, Tyrese, he did a good job. I just think here's what happens when you are in these movies. You have to understand, man, when you're not a foundational Black American and you're trying to tap into our roots, you're not going to be able to do it. You lack what is needed. And what is needed is an FBA person playing those and portraying those characters, because I just feel like it's a different synergy, you know? So, it just, everything in there, you could tell it had potential, but it wasn't really that great. Shout out to Tyrese. I like what he did. Tyrese can act. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Tyrese actually can act. I just feel like Hollywood is such a popcorn, finicky industry that I don't think they really want actors. They just want faces. They want seat fillers in these movies. You know what I mean? Just so they can put the movie out. So 1992 was okay. You know, I give it about a C. The non-FBA characters were horrible. They shouldn't even been in a movie. They should have found you some FBA actors. Tyrese, you gotta find you some FBA actors, bro. Even the people that play like the gang, it was just overacting. Like, there was a scene in 1992 where Tyrese is in the liquor store and they tell the agent, shut the fuck up, bitch. And nigga, we do not go in liquor stores acting like that. Black folk are very respectful. Nigga, I was in LA. I grew up in LA. Stop. You go into liquor stores all the time to buy chips and candy and stuff like that. Niggas don't just walk in the store and be like, yeah, I want these. Yeah, can you hear me? Bitch, shut the fuck up, nigga, bitch. You know, like, whoever is doing the writing, you need to stop. Because it was horrible. I was like, we do not act like that. I've never seen young gang members act like that in the damn liquor store in LA. I've never seen that. Tyrese ain't never seen that. Not like that. Now, them Asians, when they get disrespectful, you know, niggas will clap back. But if you respectful, niggas basically going about their way. Stop. There's this thing on Instagram where this dude is like, he's basically like, when a nigga come up and get his, you know, his stuff, he'd be like, hey, thank you, boo-boo. And they be like, nigga, what you say? Like, most niggas, most niggas, especially FBA niggas, we respond, we react. We don't just go in there on no tough guy shit. I ain't never seen that. That's why I was like, who's writing this shit? Because this shit is terrible. So that's the thing. Y'all go check it out and y'all tell me what y'all think. I think it was subpar. I think Ray Liotta and Clint Eastwood's son and Tyrese, they did good. But I think everybody else around them wasn't that great. And I think that's why the movie didn't do as well. And then they used the wrong type of energy. Like, they just used the wrong energy. People need to stop using the 1992 riots. Like, stop doing that. Stop. Because the racial climate was very, 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 very potent, very real. That's not nothing to play with. And if you can't capture that in its full capacity, leave it alone. So that brings me to the next movie. Lee Daniels in The Deliverance. Now that movie, I'm sorry, y'all. That movie, I get the racial tone, but it was the wrong movie. I get the racial message, but it was the wrong movie. If it's supposed to be a horror, you don't need to take the time to make black families look fucked up. That's why I kept saying, is this a horror or this like about black disenfranchised families? Y'all got, it's on Netflix, man. Like when y'all see, y'all got, watch. I'm gonna tell y'all about it because I want y'all gonna be like, damn, Warren wasn't lying. You open it up and you're like, okay. Monique acted her ass off. Monique did a goddamn good job. Monique acted her ass off. She did great. And it was based on a true story because this shit really happened. But I felt like they was taking the Warrens approach. Not Warren as in me talking. If you've watched any of the Conjurings or any of that, there was this white couple, their last name was Warrens. And they would do exorcisms. So it's like kind of like a black exorcism. So I hate to spoil it, but I still want you to go see it because I want you to pick up the racial undertones. Like, they went out of their way, Lee Daniels and those Dominant Society producers went out of their way to paint this negative, bad image of a black family. You didn't have to go in deep like that. When you watch The Conjuring, those white families may be dysfunctional, but they don't go out of their way to tell you, hey, and by the way, this white family's fucking dysfunctional. But with black people, they always gotta give you the backstory of how fucked up the family is. That has nothing to do with the actual horror. And I said, is this a horror or is this? And then it was all this racial undertone. And I was like, well, this right message, Lee Daniels, I'll give you that. You had the right message, but it was the wrong movie. Then the girl that was the character, she had an awful wig. Glenn Close was in it, which Glenn Close is a great actor. She's in Fatal Attraction. She acted her ass off, but it had great racial undertones. Like, you like, okay. But then I had to remember, like, oh, this is a horror. Because Glenn Close was like the white mama who had the black kid. And like, but what I didn't like about it was she had these black kids, but she didn't have a black man. But then the man that she liked was young ass Omar Epps. I was like, man, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? But then there were times where her black daughter would get into it with other people, and then Glenn Close would take the white people's side, which is true. That's why I kept saying Lee Daniels, right racial undertones and right message, because I get the message. The message was not bad. It was great, but it was the wrong movie. It's supposed to be a horror. When you're watching a horror, them racial undertones, you put a little bit in there, just a tidbit of it in there, and then you go back to the horror. Like, the horror part didn't start to the damn near end of the damn movie. Then I said, this shit is like The Conjuring. Then they had that lady that I think played Venus and Serena's mama, in King Richard, which she's a great actor. She played Maddie Moss Clark in the Clark Sisters. Beautiful sister. She fine in the motherfucker. Very, very beautiful. And she can act her ass off. So she did good. It's just, it was the wrong movie, but the right message. I'm telling y'all, when y'all see it, y'all gonna be like, man, Warren ain't lying. Right message, wrong movie. Like, really, I would have told Lee Daniels and them in there, y'all don't even need to label it as a horror. Or if you're gonna label it as a horror, take some of the racial undertone out. Like, it should have been more racial tone on, like, you about to do what, man? Please. Niggas do not believe in that shit. Woo, 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 woo. Like, the writing, man. Tyler Perry, Daniels, y'all not the only ones. These white producers, writing is horrible. And it doesn't make sense. That's why I was like, okay, so Glenn Close is the girl's mama, right? Okay, cool. So she's the white mama, and she go to the black church and stuff like that. And that does exist, because I've seen it before. So, but I noticed the dad wasn't around. And they didn't explain why Glenn Close's daughter's daddy wasn't around. And then all of a sudden, Glenn Close used to beat the shit out of her daughter. And you got to see it, because you're going to be like, okay, we get that. That's inter-family racial trauma, right? I get all that. That's why I said, like, Lee, Daniels, and the producers, I get the racial undertone message, but it's the wrong movie, dog. If it's a horror, like when you watch The Conjuring, they're not talking about how fucked up the white family is. They're only talking about the point of the movie, that the house has been possessed by a demon. We didn't get to that shit to the end until King Richard's wife came in there, the divine sister. When she came in there, that's when it started to make sense. But I was like, y'all just did an hour monologue of racial undertones that had it just didn't even make sense. And then the parts that did make sense was when Monique was involved. And I was like, all right, now we getting into it. Because half the time I was like, where are they going with this shit? But then when because Monique played like the social worker. Monique acted her ass off to me. Because that's how them social workers be. Them black social workers, oh yeah, they be like that. But some of the stuff, look, there was a lot of parts in there where you like, okay, I get it. Like the daughter, the half black, half white daughter, they had a light skinned sister playing it, so they was dope. And they had the kids in there. Only thing about the kids was, the kids were being, used by the demon, just like in The Conjuring. But I feel like they were taking too long to stick to the point. They were trying to shove all this bad imagery of black families. And it's like, dog, we done seen this. Like, they should have kept the Monique parts in there. They should have kept the parts with Glenn Close and the daughter. And then a lot of that stuff they could have edited and got more to the demon, fucking with the kids. Like, there was one scene where the kid was possessed by a demon and he just drinking a whole bunch of milk and letting it fall on the floor. And I was like, man, what the fuck are they doing? Like, some of the stuff you could have edited out. And that's what I mean by the bad image. I don't like, what I don't like, and what I disagree with any producer is how y'all go out of y'all way to frame the narrative of this negative image of black families. If it's a horror, make it a horror movie. Don't take an hour of the viewership's time to paint this bad image of black families. That's where I was like, dog, right racial undertone and message, wrong movie. If it's a movie about a horror, why the fuck are we watching this negative image being portrayed of a black family over and over again? If a demon has possessed the house, right, because it was based on a true story, then let's focus on the house. Go to the backstory of the family that lived there before. Don't wait until King Richard's mom, I forgot that sister's name, she come in, then she got to give you the backstory. Start showing us the backstory of the other family so we can have context. Because I was like, I forgot it was a horror. Like, it was a scary movie because it was so many racial undertones in there. 1 second, Glenn Close and the daughter is like basically at odds, and fuck you, mama, you ain't shit, fuck you, bitch, don't talk to my kids like that. Then the next minute, she's calling her mama, could you help me? I'm like, man, who wrote this? Come on, man. Y'all gotta stop. We have to stop allowing them to portray a negative image of black families. Because I know, Lee Daniels, you would not do that with a white family. You would not do that. Some of the like I said, the racial undertones I got, like I said, when Glenn Close is a white actor. When her daughter was kind of getting into it with other white people, and how Glenn Close kind of was like on their side. Great message. Because just because you had a baby by a black nigga, by a foundational black American, don't mean you're gonna be on our side. So that was a great message. But the wrong movie. Come on, if it's a horror, not a horror, but a horror movie, like, we should have been seeing killing and all that shit the first 30 minutes. But they went out of their way to frame this negative imagery of a black family. And the story was based on a true story, but The Conjuring was based on true stories too. But you notice they did not paint in the movie a negative image of the white family. That's all I'm saying. We have to get beyond that. And if that's what you had to do to make the movie, then Lee Daniels, you shouldn't be making no movies. Because that movie had the right message, but it was the wrong movie. That should have been a whole nother type of movie. Not a movie where it's supposed to be a scary movie, but the first hour and some change, we talking about all these unwarranted racial undertones. And the white mama, you don't need to be beating your kids, and then the black daughter to have the mixed daughter, which she's black, is like, well, you beat us, and I'm just like you, mama, you ain't shit, bitch. And I'm like, man, who the fuck wrote all this bullshit? I'm not saying that that's not realistic, but what I'm saying is, if it's supposed to be a scary movie, most scary movies, they're not going to go out of their way to add racial undertones to it. They're just not gonna do that because it's a scary movie. And in this movie, I didn't know where we were going at certain points of the movie because it was too many racial undertones. I was like, man, is this a horror? Or is this what is this? Is this a racial movie? Is this 1992 part 2? Like, what the fuck is this? But then I should have known. Fucking Lee Daniels. The only thing I will say is Monique acted her ass off. Glenn Close did a really good job. But I feel like they took way too long incorporating other bullshit in there to frame this bad image of the black family. So y'all go check it out. It's called Deliverance. Go check it out. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I done already told y'all what I thought about it. Shout out to Tyrese and Glenn Close and Ray Liotta. He passed away, RIP to him. And shout out to the actors, but the non-FBA actors, y'all gotta go somewhere and do some studying. And y'all need to go back and start acting in England or where the fuck y'all came from, because y'all do not naturally possess the law of rhythm when it comes to FBA culture. I'm done. Guilty, nigga. Peace. Oh, man.